certification process, which will definitely will help us. So I as Dr. Smita said, congratulated to the management. Even again, this is a management initiative to have the ISO 9000, and we, as I said earlier, and given assurance that we all will cooperate and provide assistance whatever is required for the certification of the ISO 9000. So once again, I welcome the resource person, I welcome the chairman and the treasurer and all the faculty members for this work. Thank you.
Thank you, Principal Sir. Chairman Sir, would you like to say a few words?
Good afternoon, everyone. I don't need to brief on what exactly is about ISO, but as Sir was just mentioning that this is just a talk. It's not going to be a talk on ISO, it's going to be a talk for starting the process of implementing ISO practices in the institute. Today at 2:30 p.m., has anybody checked their mails?
Yes.
All of them have received the mail?
Yes, the reason by
Exactly. So the chairman has forwarded a nice mail to the best of my knowledge that why we are planning to implement ISO. Now the reason is in last 6 months we have been interacting with the professors in the college as well as industry experts, and what we understood that when differences become small, it is the small things that make a difference. So we do have practices and we have no doubts that they are not being followed. It's just that we want to standardize the process, and that is the reason we thought that we will go with ISO certification for our college. And hence we have invited Mr. Nair as a consultant on board to give us a briefing on what exactly ISO is all about and how that process can standardize the practices we already follow and how we can take it ahead. So please let us listen to Mr. Nair, and more importantly, not just today, next 1 or 2 months or maybe 3 months, this will be a continuous process and we seek your help in implementing the same. Thank you.
Before we get started on the session per se, may I request my colleague Disha to welcome the guest speaker with a potted plant. Thank you, Disha. Now may I call upon my colleague Pragati ma'am to kindly introduce the guest speaker.
A very good afternoon to one and all gathered here. It is my pleasure to introduce the resource person of today's session. Shri Santosh Nair is BE in Chemical Engineering with distinction. He is lead auditor in ISO 9001, ISO 14001, OHS AS 18001, ISO 45001, BS 25999, ISO 22000, ISO 27001, ISO 22301, ISO 20000, carbon audit, water audit, etc. He is certified master trainer approved by Quality Council of India in various streams of ZED certification. Presently, he is CEO of Progressive Management Consultants. He has 25 years ISO related experience. Some of his clients are Binani, HPCL, Vedanta, Air Authority of India, Suzlon, Institute of Shipbuilding Technology, Goa Shipyard Limited, etc. He has imparted training to over 150 organizations. He has been a regular faculty for lead auditor courses and various
For having taken the decision for going for this ISO 9001 certification, which is an international certification for excellence. And I would again express my thanks for having chosen us as the consultant for rendering our service towards achievement of the same. Okay. And I know it's afternoon time, it might be slightly difficult to digest this topic. I don't know why this time was chosen, but I'm sure you have your own reasons. But that's definitely putting a lot of challenge on me, but I'll try my level best. This is going to be an approximate 12 hours of duration for this training, rather awareness. And let's try to make it more interactive. Let's not be one-sided. I'm sure you may also have a lot of doubts. We are all here to learn and understand. So please feel free to ask whatever doubts you may have related to this topic. Okay? So shall we start? We'll start with introducing our company, that is Progressive Management Consultants. Then let's have an introduction to ISO. What is ISO and all. Some benefits of this standard to an educational institute. Then we'll talk about definition. Now this is the most important part of the entire session. I would request you to pay most attention during this part, okay? Because unless and until you don't understand the fundamentals, you will not be able to appreciate the beauty of the standard. Then it will be followed by the requirements of the standard. What this standard requires, what it expects from you, what you can expect from this standard. So we'll try to understand certain requirements with respect to, of course, the documentational part and also the procedural requirements. And lastly, we'll have a question and answer session. So this is in brief about the Okay. but you can see this, right? It's clear to everyone?
Yes.
The size? Okay, so first about us, Progressive Management Consultants. We are a company based at Mapsa. Actually, our corporate office is in Mapsa, very close by. You must have heard Buildmore. So we are from Buildmore Business Park. We ourselves are an ISO 9001 and ISO 27001 certified organization because we have our operations across the globe. So to maintain the consistency, we are going for that. Our corporate office, like I mentioned, it's in Goa, that is Mapsa. And we have an international office in Malaysia and certain branch offices across. Okay. I have founded this company in the year 2000. So this is the 22nd year of operation. Myself, it is already said, Santosh Nair. And I am in this line for the last 23 years of ISO. We take pride in sharing that we have been selected as one of the 10 best consultants in India, which is over a sample of quite number, around 1 lakh, including individuals also. So for the last 2 consecutive years, both are myself in different forms. Okay. Now what do we do? Basically, we are consultants and also we do certification in various standards. Now there are a lot of standards in ISO. Any idea how many standards are there in ISO? Anyone? A rough guess? Yes? 10, okay. Any other number? Okay. There are more than 21,000 standards in ISO. Okay. But yes, there are few which are very, very popular, and these are some of the standards, and we are dealing with all these ISO standards, starting from ISO 9001, the most powerful fundamental standard, which is applicable to all types of organization. Then followed by ISO 14001, which talks about environment management system. Then we have ISO 45001, which talks about occupational health and safety. 27001, which talks about information security management systems. 22,000, which talks about food safety, like that. So we have ISO 13485, which is for medical devices, like that. Okay. So many. We also do non-ISO standards also, like CE marking. You must have heard about CE marking. Any gadgets, if you see behind that, you will see CE. That is Conformity European. This is a standard that is required if you want to sell any product to European market. Like we have something called ISI in India, ISI mark. Okay. That, what does that mean? The product is meeting the requirements specified by the Indian government. Okay, the quality is good as per the Indian government requirements. Similarly, if you have to export to Europe, there is a CE mark. So, which means your product is applicable to European market as well. Then we do halal, we do kosher, there are lots of BRC, lots of standards available. So, we are into all those standards as well. And we do training. Training not in soft skill trainings, basically all trainings related to ISO. Okay, so like I can show you some of the training such as that we deal with internal auditors training, lead auditors training, ISO for top management, like that. So many trainings related to ISO. Apart from that, we also do continual improvement package. We call it CIP. You must be aware of the term AMC, annual maintenance contract. Similarly, in our line, we have called CIP. That is for already certified organization who would want our further support, for improving further. So we do that. And we also do audits. We do internal audits on behalf of clients like you, and we also do external audits on behalf of various certification agencies. And lastly, we do carbon audits as well as water audits. Now, this is something that is comparatively quite new. You must have heard the term rainwater harvesting and all. So, what we do is those who are doing those kind of things, which is good for environment, which is good for sustainability, we try to reward them. So, we are auditors for that. In fact, we are one of the 3 auditors worldwide who are approved for that. So, in case this is just outside the topic. In case you know any projects like that, you can let us know so that we can reward them with credits. So they get some funds, for doing good for the society. Similarly for carbon, what we have to look at is to reduce our dependence on fossil fuels. So any good thing that you may do which will be helping the environment, like investing in solar, investing in wind energy, investing in biogas, we can help you in that. So, and finally we take pride that we have more than 1,000 clients as of now, in not only across India but also in countries like US, Malaysia, Singapore, Lebanon, like these countries. So that was something about us. Now let's move to the next topic, that is ISO. Now what is ISO? Can anyone tell me what does ISO stand for?
International Standards Organization.
International Standards Organization. Very good. Ideally it is International Organization for Standardization. Why is it like that? Why not like what he said? In that case it should have been IOS, right? Why is it called ISO then? Any idea? It's taken from the Greek word isos. You must have heard isometry, isosceles triangle, equal sides of the triangle. So the standard is equal, whether it is an education institute, whether it is a consultancy organization, whether it is a manufacturing company, okay, it doesn't differentiate. When you talk about ISO 9001, the same few requirements apply to all types of organizations. It's equal for all. It could be an airport, it could be any industry. The same standard applies. The standard is equal. You could be a very small organization, you could be one of the Fortune 500 companies. The same standard applies. The standard is equal. You could be anywhere in India, you could be anywhere across the globe. The same few pages apply. Okay, ऐसा नहीं कि इंडिया के लिए अलग है and Germany has got some other pages, extra pages, something like that. No. The same thing that we are learning today is what is applicable globally. So the standard is equal, it doesn't differentiate. That's why it takes more terms as an ISO. Otherwise, it should have an IOS, International Organization for Standardization. Clear? Derived from the Greek word isos, meaning equal. Around 164 countries have adopted this standard. Okay, so this organization comprises of 164 nations, India being one of the member nations. Okay, and it has got its headquarters at Geneva, that is in Switzerland. As per the ISO protocols, you can see that all these standards are reviewed every 5 years. When I say review, it does not essentially mean revised. An outcome of the review could be revision, or it could be kept the same, or you can also withdraw it. Okay? So who does this? There is a technical committee, TC. If you talk about ISO 9001, it is TC 176. That is technical committee, which is a group of experts. I was fortunate enough to be a part of this TC 176 in the year 2000. What is 9001 now? So now we are going to talk about ISO 9001, the standard that your organization is going to apply for. Okay, so what does it talk about? Any idea?
Quality management.
Quality management. So it talks about quality, right? Quality of what? Quality of institute. What do you mean by quality of institute?
Your processes.
The processes. Correct. Now your institute will have several processes. Can you tell me what are the processes here? Very good. Admissions. Excellent. Generally, I hear teaching is a process. No. So, like you rightly mentioned, everything that you do here, it could be accounting, administration, training, examination, teaching, of course, library. All these things are process. So, the quality of each of these processes is what we are looking at. Okay, and that will determine the quality of the institute. So just imagine all the activities that happen here, if it is of top quality. Just imagine what would be the reputation of the institute, right? So any material that you procure is of good quality. Everybody is doing those processes religiously. So this is what is that we are looking at, the quality of all the processes in this institute. Okay, fine. So it is quality management system. If your institute is ISO 9001 certified, what does it mean? It means one of these things, definitely or all of these three things, you take care of customers' requirement. If there are no customers, you don't have any reason to exist, right? So who are your customers? Students, yes. Society at large, very good. Parents, industries. You have already attended this course? Okay. I mean, he's always up to the mark on that. So these are all your customers. So you naturally take care of the requirements of these customers. What else does it mean? That you take care of all the applicable statutory and regulatory requirements. Any legal requirements, in the board's requirement, whatever may be the requirements, you adhere to that. And most importantly, you ensure continual improvement in all the processes that we spoke about. Have you heard this term, continual improvement? Yes. What does it mean? Please, tell me.
This should be improvement continuously, sir. It's not like
That is continuous, no? What is continual? Well, yeah, you're right. There's a difference between continuous and continual. I mean, if you can just visualize a graph, you just draw a diagonal line, that means that's a continuous. But whereas you improve and you remain there, sustain yourself, and then again you review, again you improve, then you review again. That is called continual. In other words, it is step by step. ISO does not expect you to do a continuous improvement, which is not possible and it will not be actually correct. If at all there is a fall, it will be a big fall tomorrow. So rather improve step by step. That's why it's also known as step by step improvement or sustainable improvement. If you are improving, sustain that. Don't go back again. Then there is no fun, not like a Sensex. Kabhi upar, kabhi niche, then we all have reasons for that. No. It should be sustainable. If you are improving, improve. Correct? So that's what we are looking at. And in all your process, now this is going to be a task for you all when we actually go about implementation. You need to demonstrate this improvement. Okay, like for example, a teacher has been teaching all the years, but now what is the improvement that you have done in teaching? Or for that matter, any process. That is what is expected. Okay? So that is continual improvement. Or in other words, it is step-by-step improvement. Now we talk about the benefits quickly. Of course, deliver good quality education through well-made curriculums and documentation. See, when things are documented, we all know how to do the work, because just because you are not ISO doesn't mean you are not in business, right? You have been imparting education for quite some time. But yes, if you follow a more structured manner, this only makes you more organized. Continual improvement, this will force you to demonstrate continual improvement in all your processes. Fault preventions instead of correction. So you will be more proactive. It's a globally recognized standard. Better clarity in roles, responsibility, and authority. Sometimes, many times it happens that some people are not clear about what is their responsibility or what is their authority. Authority should not be assumed. Okay? So those things will not happen. More creativity in your teaching. It will show that your institute is proactive. Like this, there are a lot of benefits. Of course, these are some of your productivity increases. We are all talking about the efficiency part. Better management, being more consistent, systematic, all these things. Okay, so this is what we are looking at once you become ISO 9000. But just by getting certified, this will not happen. For this, you have to work for it. Okay, please understand ISO certification, fortunately or unfortunately, does not tell grades. Like you have 60 per first class, distinction, like that. इसमें ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. Either pass or fail it is. So even a 35% or whatever is nowadays, I think that 35% is also pass, 90% is also pass. But it is up to you whether you want to remain in the 90% वाला bracket या 35 में खुश हैं. Just remaining certified. If that is the case, it will never help you. Okay, so try to take benefits out of this. Okay, certification is not a big challenge, but to improve is real challenge. So now we are looking at the most important slide, like I said, definitions. We need to understand this very, very clearly, because unless and until you don't understand these four terminologies, it will be a bit difficult for us to proceed further. Because these are the terms that is going to be used every now and then. Let's see what is the first one. In case of any doubt in this slide, please ask me. Okay, because I will spend some time on this. The first one is non-conformity. Has anyone heard this term? Yes, sir? Has anyone heard this term, non-conformity? Well, it means non-fulfillment of a requirement. Now, there is a requirement, it has not been fulfilled. Or I define it as any undesirable situation. Both are right actually, but the second one is more easy for you to understand and to adapt to it. So any undesirable situation can be termed as a non-conformity. Correct? So what happens if there is a non-conformity? I'm sure there is a lot of non-conformities that must have happened here, right, in this institute. Yes or no? Yes, correct. So if a non-conformity happens, what do we do? क्या करते हैं? You live with that non-conformity, or what do you do? Sorry? Find a solution. Very good. So you find a solution. That is called, in ISO we call it correction. So we do a correction. Very good. But again tomorrow the same problem happens. Now what you will do? I'll give you a small layman example. Okay. Now let's say you are traveling somewhere. Okay. So let's say you are traveling to Jaipur. You checked into a hotel and you realize that you got your mobile but you forgot your charger. Okay? And you are there so you have to survive for at least 1 week or so. So is that a non-conformity now? It is a non-conformity. Okay? Now what do you do? Buy a charger. Yeah, if you are with somebody who has got a compatible set or something, you will borrow from him. Okay? So something you will do, right? Okay? So now you are happy and you can aram se sustain. And now you come back. Let's say some other time again you go to some other place. Let's say go to Cochin. Again वहाँ पे check in किया and you realize that फिर भूल गया charger. Now what you will do? Same और क्या है ना? Again buy a charger और back borrow steal कुछ तो करोगे आप. Correct? So that is called correction. So for doing correction you don't require ISO. इसमें ISO वाली कोई बात नहीं है. It's a common sense approach. It's a reaction. Anybody will do the same thing. But what ISO expects out of it? What ISO says is, in addition to correction तो खैर आपको करना ही है. You have to take a correction. But in addition to correction, you need to take. Sorry.
I think I have to go and realize the root cause of it.
Exactly.
That is happening. Why is it that I'm forgetting often?
Correct.
Why is it with respect to the particular situation?
Excellent.
So I need to analyze the root cause.
What is that action called?
That I don't know, but I think this is what I would do.
You are very much on the right path. You have explained it more. That's all. So we need to take a corrective action. Now, what is a corrective action? Like ma'am told, it is an action you take in addition to correction so that this problem does not get repeated. How do you ensure that? By taking a root cause, by finding out the root cause क्या है इसका. ठीक है? So that is the difference between an IS organization and a non-IS organization. The approach I am saying. Because mistakes तो होते रहते हैं. What happens is that चलता है attitude. We are all born with that. ठीक है? हो गया इसके अगले बार be careful. That kind of an approach we have. But that does not help because we keep. See, to err is human. To repeat is a crime, right? So एक बार गलती हो जाता है, but learn from the mistakes. Not only your mistakes, from somebody else's mistake. That's why we talk about documenting everything. So because the moment you learn from the mistakes, your system gets changed. Okay, and you look at systems which can ensure that इस तरह का problem दोबारा कभी होगा ही नहीं. You can you find out the root cause and you come out with solutions. Now for finding out the solutions, there are a lot of ways of doing it. Brainstorming session है आपका, statistical control है, बहुत सारे हैं, पोका योके है, Although I don't know, you must have heard of all these things, I don't know. But these are all techniques to ensure that poka is everything. Poka is like a mistake proofing. आप जानकर भी गलती नहीं कर सकते हो kind of. So you have to make such kind of things in your system so that you will never be able to make mistakes. That's what poka, like I don't know, wash basin देखा होगा आपने वहाँ पे below the tap एक hole देखा होगा, a slit. That is poka again. कि कितना भी हो, अगर choke भी हो जाता है, water will not come out. It goes back into the correct. इस तरह का बहुत सारे small things है which can help you from lot of disaster. That is what is called poka. So I mean, this is one of the techniques. There are hundreds of techniques available. So which ensures that these kind of problems will not happen. Okay, that is what is expected out of you henceforth. So you have to not only take correction, come out with a corrective action. Clear? So is coming back to our example, ये बोलने का जो बीमारी है चार्जर का, what will happen? What will you do? Yes. Like unfortunate people who are always on the move or travel, we have a ready-made suitcase होता है, उसके अंदर एक checklist लगा दिया मान लो, ठीक है? या फिर already there is a checklist, you add charger in that. So at least while closing, charger. Okay, so of course just an example I am saying. Tomorrow you may have got to take another suitcase. That's a different thing. But just to make you understand what is the idea of a corrective action. Corrective action ensures that you will never do a mistake. Okay. The root cause itself is being taken out. And the root cause could be many, rather it may not be one. Many times, see, this also can happen. Tomorrow you will feel that because of ISO now we are forced to write corrective action and tomorrow auditor will come and he will check that. So you start doing these things for the sake of auditor. That will not help you. You have to ask yourself, why do I have to improve the system? Tomorrow why this problem has to recur? So a non-conformity is like a boat full of holes, Just because you saw one hole and you plugged it doesn't mean that your boat will not sink. You have to look around. Okay, plug all the holes, tab jaake you can be sure of your corrective action. Clear? So that is one thing. And the last this thing is risk. Of course, I know you all understand by the word risk, but can you define it? What do you mean by risk? Because the entire ISO is based on risk approach now. So you need to really understand this. So what is risk? Chances of failure. Very good.
Competition.
Cooperation. Competition. Okay, fine. But chances of failure can be more here. But ISO defines it as effect of uncertainty. Something that can happen. Or there is one more definition which is much more easier. That is combination of probability and severity. Okay, now this will help you in doing ISO further. Probability of something bad happening and severity, outcome of that. You understood? So that is how we define risk. For example, I'll give you again a small layman example. Let's assume that I have kept 2 stools here. Okay, and I am giving a wooden plank on that. Now I am asking you to stand on this and travel from one point to the other point. Can you do it? At your age, you can easily do it, right? You are quite fit and you will happily do it. But suppose this plank, if I am keeping between the terrace of 2 buildings, 50. Now if I was saying an objective, you will not identify. You need to have a documented approach. A proper action plan होना चाहिए कि कैसे करेगा. Who will do, how he will do, where he will do, कहाँ पे लिखेगा, all those things. This is what you have to do. Clear? So now you will be able to identify objectives. Everybody is nodding, let's see. Fine? Is it clear? Yes. Okay, example. To improve the performance of students. Is it a good example? Good quality objective, you agree to this? Yes or no? Yes. No. Okay, so again, refrain from identifying such kind of objective. This is very vague. What do you mean perform in what? Nothing is clear. Dance mein, ya studies mein, what it means. And how are you going tomorrow if I have to audit that. How did I know? Pehle kya tha, abhi kya tha, something. It's not possible. So these are not all. These are good intentions. There is a difference between intention and an objective. Convert your intentions into an objective. That ISO, like I said, always talks on measurable things. I will be a good boy. That is your intention. That cannot be taken as an objective. What is the definition of a good boy? As per you, it is different. As per me, it may be different. Correct? So don't get into those kind of objectives. Let's say if I want to rephrase it this way, to increase the percentage of first class students from the current 60 to 75% in the academic year, let's say 22-23. Now is this okay? This can qualify as an objective. You can always go and verify tomorrow. You can audit. Now, even if you are from 60 to 70 also, that's okay because you are at least improving. It's not that 75 nahi was, so it's going to be a problem. Don't worry about that. Sometimes we see people worrying about the objective, after we are binding ourselves. No, don't worry. Even if you are not able to achieve 75, even something on the positive side is also okay. So this is how you have to identify an objective. This is what differentiates an intention from an objective. Clear? Documented information, again, you must be aware of two terms, records and documents. Is it or is it new to you? Records and document. What is the difference between these two? What is the difference between record and a document?
Probably empirical, something that has happened in the past.
Okay.
Document could also be future oriented, something planned.
Okay, you are explaining it and asking what is the difference between it. The main difference between record and a document is documents can be changed, records cannot change. Agreed? Documents you can always revise. Can you change your records? Kalka attendance can you change? Unless you are in the habit of manipulation. Can you do that? So records cannot change, documents can change, has to change also because ISO believes in a dynamic system. Don't keep एक बार बन गया so बन गया बस अभी line change ही नहीं करेंगे. No, it has to be dynamic. You have to keep on changing it, improving it. Okay. So here we are talking about documented information. What does that mean? It's a collection of both. Document and record is called documented information. Clear? So, as far as documented information is, you will have lots of documented information. The challenge is to identify which one you need to maintain. Which are the documented informations you need to maintain, and which are the documented information you need to retain it also. For example, your attendance for in the year 2010, is it important today? So you will not retain that. Correct? So there are certain things that needs to be retained, certain things that may not be retained. So understand what is to be retained, what is to be maintained. But most important thing is having a control over all your documented information. So one of the biggest requirement here is to control your documented information. How will you control? Why do you need to control? What do you mean by control? Let's say you have a document information, you want to retrieve one particular document. You are keeping on searching, you don't get it. Sometimes it happens, right? That should not be the case. Within half a minute, you should get a document if somebody is asking for it. Instead of keeping on searching here and there, like that. How are you keeping it? Is it in a soft copy? Is it in a hard copy? It should be very clear to you. How are you, preserving it? How long are you going to retain it? What is the retention period? How do you dispose it off after that? What is your disposal mechanism? Who is the disposal authority? All these things, this matrix has to be made. That is meaning having a proper control over your document information. Don't worry, it's not difficult. We are there to help you on all these things. But I'm just telling you what are the requirements. Okay? So, ensure that the document is available whenever it is required and suitable for use. It is adequately protected its distribution, access, retrieval. Suppose for example you have a document and you give a copy to somebody else. Now there is a revision, you have the latest, and that person who is actually at the point of use, he is having the old one. Correct? Sometimes your syllabus changes, right? Suppose you are giving the old syllabus to the concerned person, doesn't make sense. How do you ensure you don't do that? That all comes under control of documented information. Storage, preservation, version control. Like I said, now today, I don't know whether you already have, you'll have some version numbers in all your documented informations. Okay, so you know exactly which is the latest one. What do you mean by master? What do you mean by controlled copy? What do you mean by obsolete copy? Uncontrolled copy? All these things you will be exposed to now. Retention, how long are you going to retain it? 1 year, 2 years, lifelong you are not going to keep all the document information. And disposal mechanism. Who is disposing it? How he is disposing it? Risk and opportunity. Risk we already discussed what it is. Now on the flip side, there is something called opportunities. You are doing a routine activity, but in that you could see an opportunity, something good that can happen. You need to identify that as well. It's not mandatory, but it's always advisable that each one of you try to look for opportunities. Correct? Let's say, for example, one of you has been sent to an external training. Okay, now external training costs. Management cannot afford to send everybody. But you go for a training, the training instructor sees an opportunity there. He asks that person to give an internal training to all of them. So that's an opportunity. So everybody benefits from that. Okay? So like that in all your process, you need to look at opportunities as well. So, I mean, as per the risk, you have to reduce the undesired effects, opportunity, enhance the desirable results, and achieve continuous improvement. I will not take much time on that. Leadership. Now, this is important. Now, there is a concept of having a person, like a monitor in the class. Like that, here also we have something called as a management representative. MR, we call it as an MR. Now, it's up to the top management to decide whether to have a MR, because the latest edition, it is not a mandatory requirement. But 99% of the organizations still go for MR because they are used to having a leader always. And it helps also many times. So, that person is a one point contact, SPOC, single point of contact. Okay? So, that person is called management representative. And I hope that, I don't know whether it has been decided who is going to be the MR here, and that has to be, everyone should know that, who is the captain of the team. But that does not mean that that person is only responsible. That's the reason the latest revision, it has been taken out, the explicit requirement of having an MR. Because many times it was seen that ISO as if it is uska hi kaam hai. No. Understand that he or she is just a captain of the team, like Kohli or whoever. He himself cannot feel bad ball, everything. It's a teamwork. If you want to win the match, everyone has to chip in. Similarly, if you want to have a successful, effective implementation of ISO, each one of you is responsible. The MR is just to coordinate. Like when we come, okay, we cannot keep on talking to everybody. Are you free tomorrow and all those things. The MR will organize, like that. So that person is just a SPOC. That's all. But yes, he will have a better understanding because he or she is always with us whenever we are coming. So that's fine. That doesn't mean it is their responsibility alone. Okay. The top management shall ensure that the responsible authority for the relevant roles, like MR is one role. There is another that is going to come up is internal auditors. Some of you have to be nominated as internal auditors. This has nothing to do with the financial audit. This is audit of the system. Okay. So let's say some people, let's say 5, 10, I don't know how many of you will be nominated. You will be trained as internal auditor. Why? So that you will do a cross-functional audit to ensure that systems are in place. Systems are effective and they are effectively implemented, not just implemented. Okay? So they are the pillars. MR and internal auditors actually are the pillars of a very successful implementation. As external auditors, they will come one day, okay, they may not have the required time to go through all the process. That will be just a sampling, very the same. But internal auditors literally have their own, they can spend more time. They exactly know where is the issue. They can probe much more further. Of course, we'll have a training on that for those people who are nominated for that. So who will ensure that the implementation is effective? Conducting management review. There is a management review meeting that has to take place. Wherein apart from the top management, all the process owners will also have to participate in that. A lot of things will be discussed in that. There is an agenda which is given in the standard. The MR will be responsible for ensuring that people are trained for internal auditors and for conducting internal audits. MR has to ensure that complaints, there is a customer complaints, it could be from parents, it could be from students, it could be from anybody. What is your customer handling procedure? Or complaint handling procedure? That has to be very clearly documented. And the MR has to ensure that the top management is apprised of what is the current status of the implementation. No surprises at the time of external audit. So you need to be very clear as to which department is not functioning or whatever it is. That person has to update the top management for necessary action. Purchasing, again, you may be doing some purchases, not much heavy purchases, but quickly I'll just say, what is your criteria for selecting a supplier for purchasing? It could be books, it could be, I don't know, uniforms, whatnot, all your lab equipments, like that. And anybody who walks into you, take him under this thing? No. So you need to have a selection criteria. After selecting him, what is your monitoring criteria? How frequently do we monitor his performance? All these things are required by this clause. Then we have internal audit. I think already we have discussed what is an internal audit. It's an audit done by your own staff against, among yourself. It's a cross-functional audit, which is to ensure that your QMS conforms to the planned arrangements, conforms to the requirements of the standard, and conforms to the requirements of the organization, that is institute, and to ensure whether it is effectively implemented and maintained. इसके लिए हम internal audits करते हैं. Management review, I said, you need to review the performance of your organization's performance at planned intervals to ensure that system is still suitable, adequate, and it is effective. Roles, responsibilities and authorities, that also we have discussed. Each one of you may have a role of a teacher, role of an MR, role of an internal auditor in addition to being a teacher or being a librarian or whatever. You need to know what is your role for each role, what is your responsibility, what is your authority. I will not go much into depth of it. I hope you understand what is all this is. But we need to ensure that everybody in this institute is competent. What is competence? Competence is a mixture of 4 things: education, experience, skill and training. ये 4 चीज का मसाला है. कहीं आपको एजुकेशन ज्यादा है तो एक्सपीरियंस कम है, चल जाता होगा. Sometimes it's the other way around. Okay, so you need to understand what is the perfect mix of competence required for a particular post. Ensure that the person who is in that post is competent, meets that requirement. अगर मान लो नहीं meet कर रहा, then what? Throw him out of the institute. You have to train that person. Okay. So in case if the person is not competent enough as per the prescribed requirements, give that person additional training so that he or she is up to that level. Right? They must be qualified and trained for the job they are performing, and make everyone aware of the relevance and importance of your activity. What all activity you are assigned to do here is of importance, right? कोई फालतू का काम नहीं कर रहा है. Everyone is doing something which is really important. Suppose if you are not doing it correctly, what is the repercussions? Make them understand so that they really put their heart into that. Now we do a lot of every organization, whether ISO or not, we all do lots of processes, and as a result of the process, काफी सारे data आता है. Now the difference in ISO is now we expect you to make sense out of that data. So there could be something that you are measuring or monitoring. What comes out is data. Whether do you analyze that data or not? And based on the analysis, why do you analyze? For improving further. ठीक है? So that is what is the requirement of this particular clause. There are a lot of things that you may be measuring. Okay? सभी चीज का डेटा निकालिए आप, analyze it, where are we, and from that we'll come to know where you can, what all you can improvise upon. Rather in this case we say continual improvement. Continually you need to improve upon it. Is it clear to everyone? Any doubts? And lastly we have, when I said lastly people are a bit, we have this requirement, that is non-conformity correction. Again we have discussed this. This is the last clause of the standard. Okay? Yeah, we are actually at the end of the. Yeah, during that time we can. So non-conformity correction, I think we have discussed. Can someone help me in this? What do you mean by non-conformity? Non-fulfillment of a requirement or any undesired situation. जो नहीं चाहता हुआ हो जाता है, then it becomes a non-conformity. So whenever non-conformity happens, what do you do? Correction and corrective action. Both you have to. Correct? Corrective action by finding out the root cause and all those things, doing some statistical techniques, so that it does not happen again. So what does the clause say? Review the non-conformities. Now when you talk about complaints, that is also a non-conformity. Okay, so that is also an undesired situation. So review the non-conformity, determine the root cause of the non-conformity, see if the similar NC can happen, is occurring anywhere else or can happen. Not just because it has been found at one location, you need to, like I said, holes in the code. Okay? Implement correction and corrective action. Very important. Review the effectiveness. Just because आपने correction action ले लिया इसका मतलब नहीं कि नहीं होगा. Review it. Maybe after 6 months you see if it is happening again, that means it was not effective. So take some other corrective action. Till such time it does not repeat. And also make change to your process accordingly. आपका procedure जो SOP है उसको भी change करो to suit it. Is this clear? So what I have done is I have just quickly taken you to some of the requirements. मैं ज़्यादा detail में नहीं है because I don't want to bore you. But the idea was to give you a small, this thing of what are you going to look for tomorrow. Okay. So ISO is nothing but a set of requirements, clauses. जैसे हम judicial में है clauses होते हैं, दफा, बहुत सारे clauses हैं. Like that, if you are doing something, you are penalized against that. मान लो आप ट्रैफिक में जाते हैं, section 80B, पता नहीं helmet, some sections are there, seat belt पहनना है, correct? If you are not wearing that, there is an auditor on the road, ठीक है? वो पकड़ता है आपको, वो क्या करता है? आपको चालान काटता है. That is a non-conformity report. यहाँ पर भी वही होने वाला है. Auditor will come, चालान काटेगा. वहाँ पे तो क्या गांधी जी से चल जाता है, लेकिन यहाँ पे नहीं चलेगा. यहाँ पे you have to take corrective action. ठीक है? That's the only difference. यहाँ पे आपको corrective action लेना है and you have to ensure that this will not happen again. Correct? So that is what it is. ISO is nothing but it's a set of rules, requirements. What I am saying is not like, so we have which will be sharing with you, a set of clauses हैं. That is the Gita, Bible, Quran, जो भी आप बोल. Correct? What all I am saying is from that only. Our job is to give you the correct perspective of that. हर एक का perception अलग होता है. So we try to give you the right perception of what is actually required by that clause. Is it clear? Any doubt in the requirements? Shall I proceed? So now that like sir had corrected that this is not just a talk. Ideally, this is a journey. Our institute is going for ISO 9001 certification, and you are all going to be a part of it. It's an international certification, and you can be proud of being a part of that. So we are a consultant. So our job is to now come. काफी सारे visits होंगे, 7-8 visits, whatever, depending upon how things are picked up, and ensure that you get certified for this international standard. उसके लिए steps क्या है? I'll tell you. First is the project initiation, that is the realization that yes, we need to get certified, which is already done. Your management has realized that we should go for that. Then comes identification, selection and finalization of a consultant. Thankfully, you have selected a very good one. So, anyway, this stage is also done. Then is the awareness program, which is what is currently happening. Okay, awareness on ISO 9001 for all the management staff and people. Then we do gap analysis. That is the next step. What is gap analysis? That is status appraisal. You all have a system, right? You cannot function without a system. We try to understand that. आपके साथ बैठकर समझेंगे आप. How can you please explain what you do and all? It could be by way of questioning, interview, audit, whatever it could be. By that we try to understand where are you right now, in accordance to the requirement of the standard, and where you should be. So जो gap है, that is what is called gap analysis. We analyze that gap and we try to bridge that gap by way of certain documentation and processes and systems like that. तो हम documentation और manuals, SOPs हम बनाएंगे, implement करवाएंगे आपसे. We will ask you to implement those procedures. We will expect you to establish objectives. See, we will not be spoon feeding you. There are sometimes आप तो और भी स्कूल में क्या होता है क्या प्लीज बताओ वही कर देते हैं हम. No, we will not do that. Because we understand that everyone is individual and unique. हो सकता है you will be much better than other people. Don't limit by copying someone else. Okay? So my job is to bring out the best in you. So trust in yourself and give the best because it is your system. It should not be कि आपके ऊपर थोप दिया हमने कुछ. Then you will always curse it. That should not happen. So it is your own creation. Be involved. So that tomorrow you should not feel that something else. Then we will train. Some people will be nominated for becoming an internal auditor. We will give them a full day training. Internal auditors training करवाएंगे हम. Then we will ask them to conduct an internal audit, after which will be followed by a management review. And there could be a lot of non-conformities from that audit. We will help you in closing those non-conformities. कैसे close करना है? Corrective actions अगर आपको नहीं पता है, we will try to help you out with that. And we also will do a mock audit, shadow audit. Okay. The way the certification body will be given. After that, we will be exposing you to the final audit, जहाँ पे आपका we call it certification audit. And the result should be certification. Okay? And I am sure it should be that. So this is the overall steps involved. Clear? And lastly, I always say ISO 9001 can be a failure because it happened many places. Let me warn you. Okay? If there is no genuine support from the top, the very fact that top management is there throughout the session, which shows, and we also get a feeling that no, this will never be in this stage, don't worry. Okay? But this is the stage many organizations are at. It will be now this is typically an MR sitting. Okay? Just because आपका ongoing commitment नहीं रहा, implementation नहीं रहा. You work for the जैसा exam students को होता है कल exam में आज पढ़ता है. Even you people also can do this kind of things. Tomorrow's audit, you will start cooking up data. Please don't get into that. If you are in this lab, you will hate ISO because you are not doing it for yourself. You are doing it for somebody else. अब वो auditor आएगा पूछेगा ये सब यार बना दे. This kind of approach होता है. And if you are in this, you will never like ISO. Many of the organizations are in this stage, big or small, whatever. So don't be in that. It can always be a major benefit if top से support बराबर से मिल रहा है आपको, implementation अच्छा हो रहा है, diligently you are working for that, and there is an ongoing commitment to continually improve your system. Then you are in this stage. So what do you think? You will be in which stage? Last one, right? Okay, good. So with that, I think I will conclude my session. I am open for any questions. I hope you have understood. Any doubts, please ask. You can have it in case that is have that or ask. No doubts? Otherwise, I can start asking now. Anything related to ISO, not only related to this presentation.
So what is the length of the process from initiation to the final
Yeah, the
certification?
typical time period can be 2 months. It may get increased if there is, like for example, let's say we are coming after 3 days and we expect to keep the certain things ready. We come and we find nothing is ready. The whole process gets repeated. Us tarah se it can get delayed. But if really good people are there, there's a good initiation, then 2 months is a good time.
Is it annual?
Sorry?
Is it annual?
Okay, now once you are getting certified, then there will be an annual audit. Ideally, the validity of any ISO certificate is 3 years, between which there will be surveillance audits. At the end of 3 years, there will be something called as a recertification. After 3 years, you can decide whether to stop or not. Generally, it does like that. Very few people will stop it, but then you go for a recertification. You get a fresh certificate, which is again valid for 3 more years. But audits will be there every year. It will be either called surveillance audit or recertification audit.
So what happens when these standards are redefined? That's constantly being done by the ISO. So
It's not constantly be done. Like I said, every 5 years it is being reviewed, and by the time it comes out, it takes 8 years. That's why if you see, it started in 1987. After that, it was revised in 1994. Then in 2000. Then in 2008. Then in 2015. 21. 2015 is the latest.
right,
So it takes around 7 to 8 years.
So in that situation,
You need to adapt to the latest one. That's all. That's not a problem. If the differences are very minor, we'll come and help you out there. We are always there. Just a stone's throw away.
How many such institutions are there in the state of Goa? Educational institutions?
Certified?
Yes.
I may not have, because we ourselves have done around 5, 6. That's all, but then there may be more.
Which of the colleges you have?
See, we have done institutes of shipbuilding technology, Institute of Maritime Studies, Lucy Maritime, then Sunshine School. Schools here, St. Mary's is going on. Mapsa.
College.
College in Goa, no? We have done one column, I will not name it because they have reached to the end, but they have not gone ahead. I don't know, they have some problems. But otherwise, these are the ones.
They are doing, but I don't know who does. They are doing. Since long.
They are doing, they are already certified. Certified. Yes, anything else? Please feel free. So my request now is, we need to especially my request to the top management is to first appoint one management representative. Who is?
IQC coordinator.
So they are going to be the management. So we will be interacting with you, hands on work. And your job is to coordinate with everybody and get the things done. Good, that's good. And subsequently, you can also find out at the steering team. At least 1 or 2 person from each function, so that they can also available, they can take the lead, further percolate it down the knowledge. Anything else? Any more questions?
role for the students and
Students' role will not be much unless and you would like to take feedback from them. That we'll see in subsequent step how is it like going to happen. Because in your case it is college students, they not so you can easily take feedback. We'll see how it will be once we get the pulse of Kolkata is basically this institute. They are the customers. That's it. Okay. Thanks a lot for your patience. Listening. Thank you very much. We can discuss now. Just let me know the steps. Like I said, these are the steps which we already. What we need to do is we will like sit with the MR and try to, because there has to be some 7-8 visits which has to be evenly and already spaced. Correct. So what are the key steps that we will be discussing, and then from there we can take it forward. Correct. Then they will be, I am sure, do you have a WhatsApp group or something like that in your institute? Then you can keep on